On Dusk Till Dawn's release day, I dropped a video looking at Boltyn and my excitement to get him to work with his new tools. So today, 1 month after Dusk Till Dawn's release, let's circle back and check in on our Light Warrior, what I've learned, and how my takes have changed. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Flesh and Blood friends. Welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. Hope everything's going well for you, and happy Friday. So today what I wanted to do, it's been a month, if you believe it or not. We were already talking about the next set and all that, but it's right, it's only been a month, but lots happened in a month. It's been a busy month. I've been pushing Decimator Dorinthea really hard, but I've also been pushing Boltyn really hard. He's actually been the primary one I've been playing in Blitz, casually, of course. So I have more reps with him in Blitz than I do in CC, and I've actually had some limited success. I actually took him to an armory. I believe it was opening weekend. It might have been the next weekend, and I got 3 out of 4, so I went 3-1, which I thought was pretty good for the first stab at him, and I had almost everything I needed because people are great and make trades and were able to get everything I needed. But I thought the 3-1 was pretty good on opening weekend. That said, it's been a month, and and I do want to clarify something. I am specifically talking about Raiden Boltyn, right? I'm not challenging the Lumina multi-saber, saying that's not where I'm going on this. The mission statement I had to begin this set and what I wanted to look at was really very much how was Raiden Boltyn going to do and perform with the new tools. So all in all, I think it's gotten significantly better. I don't really think there's much debate about that from where it was, but it's not good enough, right, to be like a top meta deck. But I do think, again, I went 3-1 with it in an armory, so it can do things, right? People who are much better players than I can probably do far better and maybe pull down an armory or whatever it may be. So yes, I think it's gotten significantly better. A couple things. So obviously we're going to do this PTI style, so you can kind of see as we go through this. But overall takeaways are the new equipment is really awesome. Really awesome. What's also cool about it for players is that they're really cheap, like exceedingly cheap. Soulbond Resolve is very, very useful. Beyond useful with the new bannerets. I absolutely love the bannerets. My opinions changed on those a bit, and we'll talk about it. But the one that I severely underestimated was Versus and how good it is with Raiden. Because there's a lot of times, right, Take Flight costs 1. There are a couple other things out there that cost 1. Like, again, we have more zeros now, especially with like Beaming Bravado, great card. A lot of times you'll have 1 resource. And what's really cool about Raiden is Raiden doesn't, with the exception of via the Vanguard turn, you don't really need to worry about maintaining chain integrity. So you can kind of do your thing, and then if you have 1 floating, just pump, and then they don't have to block it, but they really want to block it, because if you hit on Raiden and then go into your next turn with a courage token, so good, right? It removes all those concerns about the red 0-3s to start your chain and not getting a bonus. Absolutely phenomenal. All right, next thing I wanted to wrap back around was the bannerets. I had kind of made a call which ones I liked, and I was wrong. I was right about 2 of them. I severely underestimated how good Banneret Gallantry is, which is kind of like, it's one of those like Wayback Machines. Like, I don't really know why I didn't think that was good. And by I didn't think it was good, I knew it was good. It wasn't my top picks, because I think you can only really run, because these cards in themselves don't charge. So I think you can really only run 3 of them times 2 for 6 total. I'm talking Blitz here. But I mean, that holds for CC, just 3 of them times whatever you can run. Banner of Courage is an obvious one. I think that's self-explanatory for what I mentioned specifically with going into the turn. It's really great with, the chess piece is really great. But Banner of Gallantry does the same thing, kind of, but it doesn't make you, it gives you the go again. You don't need to worry about everything because you just naturally have the go again. So those 2 are absolutely phenomenal. And Banneret of Salvation ended up being the one that I like the most over Vigor. I've actually taken Vigor out and I swapped it in for Gallantry, but I'm still running Salvation because a lot of times when you have that gain health on the table. And again, it's next time you hit this turn, so it even counts Raiden, you get blocks, and that's not a bad thing when sometimes you want blocks to get your stuff. So I've been pretty impressed with those three of those are the ones I'm running. Right, so Courage was one of the sets, and Courage, there's so many Courages, right? But I'm talking the attack reaction. This was one that I was very excited about. Still am very excited about. I've been running red and yellow of it. But I'm thinking, I haven't made the call yet. I'm actually still running red, yellow in my deck, but I'm thinking maybe only running red. And I know how that sounds because you're supposed to run a bunch of yellows. But I think I've just found that it's sometimes too hard to pay for because a lot of times you do want to do the hands, right? You want to pitch to versus. Now, keep in mind, this one does poop out. If you've charged, this one poops out a Courage token. But a lot of times I just feel like it's bad value. Or I find myself, like the yellow, is bad value. Or I find myself pitching the yellow, which in of itself is not a bad thing. But then you have to ask yourself, are there other cards that I'd rather have at the bottom? And I just think it's a fair question to ask. Like I said, I'm not sold on taking it out yet, but that's definitely something that I'm like back and forth on the yellow version. But absolutely love the red. And kind of to my point on the yellow one is you have to really ask yourself, the red one giving the +3 and then the Courage, awesome. But then you have to ask yourself, the yellow for what you're trying to do, is the yellow better than yellow Steel Hand? I don't know. Right, and that's where I think that's kind of where I'm going back and forth is like, Steel Hand's pretty good. It's free, it requires the charge, but it's kind of what you want to do. So as I said, that's where I'm kind of going back and forth. All right, another card I've been going back and forth on. It's currently out of my deck, and I think that's the right place for it, meaning not being played in my deck, but Prayer of Bologna. Okay, this card is really, really good on paper, kind of. But I was finding it was really hard. Again, unless you're running probably 94, 92, whatever the math works out, like 92.5% yellow, then I've hit blue take flight on it before, and that really sucks. And then it's just a 1 for +2, and then kind of back to my argument on Courage, right? The Courage react. Now, again, I get it. When it's explosive, it's explosive. The upside's there. But there's a lot of cards also that's like when it's charged this way. Actually, there's a couple of them that way, and that's why I've kind of also defaulted to a lot of cards that just like take flight, for example. You don't have to charge to it if you've charged this turn. So you can charge early to it if it's charged this way, and then you still get to go again because it's charged, and then that's, kind of moving into my next point. The two red M's from this set, I'm actually only playing one of them. I'm forgetting the name right now of the other one. Beckoning Light is the one that I've since dropped. I am still running the Spirit of War. Spirit of War is really strong. But Beckoning Light, I was just finding I'd just rather run Bolt of Courage. The reason being that Bolt of Courage threatens, again, it's not a if charged this way, and threatening that card draw, it's pretty good. Right now you still run, assuming you've already charged, but you can still charge to Bolt of Courage. But I was finding a lot of times that Bolt of Courage could be played as that second card, threatening the card draw. Obviously you probably want to follow up with Raiden, but like if they do let it hit and you get a draw and you can put it in your arsenal, it's not the end of the world, right? That's what I'm saying if they don't block it. So I've really skewed to red Courage over Beckoning Light. Lumina is I was actually playing around. I was actually playing without Lumina. I know. I was actually playing without Lumina for the first like week or so, and because it just didn't really seem to be what I wanted to do, and then it's just better, right? So, and that was kind of where the slot I was going back and forth on that was Prayer of Bologna actually, and those, that's Bologna's out, Lumina's in. It just makes sense. I don't have the legendary that makes it play as an instant. That's obviously really good because then it kind of effectively becomes a like +1 react, right? Assuming you've done the thing. It's very, very, very strong. I need to get myself one of those L's. And then that kind of takes me to my next spot, which is space issues, right? So many of these conversations we've had here are, and this applies to the CC decks I've built as well. You cram a bunch of stuff in and all of a sudden there's no room left. And by a bunch of stuff, I mean like the stuff that you feel you have to play. And I think that's one of his restrictions is you have to have so many charge cards, right? And you have to have so many yellow, like there's so many different like competing restrictions, I think is what I'm trying to say here, that you start running into space issues and you're like, well, I have charge cards, but I have to make they're yellow, but I have to have enough damage output. And then I have to sort of make sure I've got some blues in case I run up against the wrong hero. And a lot of competing things going on there. And I've been having some space issues with that. So in summary, what I wanted to do was go ahead and bring up my deck list for you all. And I'll just show it across the screen. We don't need to run through it. This is what I'm running as of the day I'm shooting this, to be very clear, as hopefully I've made clear. Deck is still in flux. I'm moving cards in and out on a near daily basis. I'm kind of doing the shout out to Adam, kind of doing the Adam trick where I put the card next to me, and whenever I have cards in my hand, I'm like, would I rather have this card or what I have in my hand, what I actually have? That's been a very useful activity for something like this, but it does lead to a lot of iteration. So, and that's what I have available right now. Like I said, there's only a couple key slots that I've been going back and forth on, but little things can make a big difference. So, in the end, I'm pretty happy with the fact that Boltyn's better, right? He did get better. I think he's absolutely more playable than he was before. I mean, generally that's how it works when you get new tools. It at least gives you more options. Is he top tier? I don't think so. I think the data from all the smart kids playing all these big tournaments has shown that as well. But I do think that there's some folks out there who can do really cool things with him, and I'm going to keep trying as well. So anyway, thanks for joining me for kind of my Boltyn brain dump. I just really wanted to share what I've been doing over the last month with this and kind of where I've got and my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts below. I know there's a lot of Boltyn loyalists out there as well who've been doing their thing. So anyway, share below. I'd love to have the conversation. If nothing else, folks, go Commando.